Oh, Marie, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I've
Oh,
got sweaty palms
why?
because we haven't done a podcast episode since 1994. And it's like we're starting again. What happens if we say the wrong thing?
You're silly. Have you pressed
Uh,
record?
yes, I've hit record. I have, haven't I? Yes, I've hit record. Welcome to the podcast where we put professionalism first. Isn't that right?
I never know when you've hit that record button. Today's conversation it's a good one. It's something that I believe that you and I both went through, and getting to a place in business where you really weren't expected to be. You thought, is this how it's meant to be? I don't know if I want to keep continuing. What do I need to do? All of that feeling of discomfort. And I know I've been there, and I know you've been there, and there's many people that will be listening that have been in that exact position, and probably even right now.
Mm. No one buys a business or starts a business and has that vision that they're not, 5 years' time, that you're going to have tax debt and you'll be overwhelmed and that you'll be stuck on this hamster wheel of hustling and be exhausted and not earning the money that you deserve and blah blah blah. Like no, you wouldn't get into business if you had that vision, but the reality is legitimately most of us get to points in business where you think, why the hell am I even doing this to myself? Like, if it was as easy as just putting a lock on the door and walking away, you would. But it isn't that easy, unfortunately, because I've wanted to do that multiple times.
Well, there's so many ups and downs, and this topic of thinking, why aren't I where I need to be? It's a big topic, and we often say let's do it quick, but we never do because there's so much. It's like a rabbit hole we get down into, and I feel like um, when we talk about this topic with a client, they're just working on so many things, and I think that's where it comes from to start with, is knowing what to work on, knowing where to start, where to stop, what not to focus on, what to focus on. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think one of the themes of yesterday, because we hosted our clients' planning day yesterday. So I think we had 40 something, 42 salon owners in the Zoom room to do our half day planning. And one of the key learnings at the end of the session, because we always do that at the end of a coaching session, what bubbled up to the surface, what was the learnings from today.
Yep.
I think they quoted you a lot, which you put a quote in the chat box that they loved, which
Mhm.
was, I'm going to test your memory,
Yeah, I remember.
consistency.
If your business could talk, what would it say?
If your business could talk, what would it say? And I think for a lot of people, what it would say it needs and what it doesn't need, um, and then what you're actually doing are two different things.
Mhm.
And the other learning was around consistency and simplicity. So I'm biting off more than I can chew. I'm working on too many things. I'm inconsistent. And if my business could talk, it would tell me, stop because you're working on too many things. And, when you're giving your attention to the 50 things that are on your plate, the projects that you've opened up, the tabs that you've got open in your mind, you're not doing any of them well.
No,
So,
that's right.
so I think lots of learnings from yesterday around simplicity, consistency, and working on too many things. And I suppose it brings us to the first point, which is we fall off the bandwagon. And I almost think that when you're working on the wrong things, too many things, you've got too many tabs open, it's almost like you welcome falling off the bandwagon. It's a
Yeah.
relief when you fall off the bandwagon. It's like a form of self-sabotage almost, isn't it? Like, oh, thank
Yeah.
God I don't have to work on that fucking plan again. It's too much.
Yeah, and it's the daily pressures, it's the day-to-day demands that we have on personal life, it's business life,
Mm.
it's, we've got the team, it's that underestimating the complexities when we went into business, and also the changes in business. Like, no business is the same from the first 6 months of the year to the last 6 months because team leave, team come, we get new equipment, we get so many different new modalities in, we have new services we add. So the changes happen in, could be financial pressure, it's
Mm.
mismanagement. There's so many moving parts when it comes to a business. And we need to be across this more and more. And I suppose, our 90-day planning is one of the things that keeps clients on track and keeps salon owners on track because they know what to do from one week to the next.
So if you think about with how much business changes, that there's a certain amount that you do have to be reactive in business because things can change that you didn't anticipate.
Mhm.
And you need to be able to have the time and the headspace and the energy to be able to react to those things so that you're proactive and that you can respond to these challenges and implement changes. But um, uh, if you work at such a full capacity where if one kid gets sick, if a team member calls in sick, or if you have to fit in a redo or whatever it is, and that will snowball and knock you out for the entire week, you've jammed too much in your week. You're doing too much. So you think, if a coaching client of ours is working on the floor 5.5 days a week, half a day on the business, picking the kids up, dropping them off, doing this, doing that, one little thing can go wrong or change in their business. They don't have the capacity to have to deal with that.
Yeah, that's right. And even things like you might have had the intention. I feel like when we speak to a lot of our clients or clients coming in, they often say, I've always wanted to do that, but I didn't know how, or I ran out of time because of those day-to-day demands, they push it away. So that
Mm,
hamster wheel comes in where you're just going to work. What's that at on TV? You go to work, you get do your day's work, you get paid, and you get up again the next day and you do the same thing. And it's that
mm,
you need to learn to get off that so that you start working on the business. Like things that change a lot of businesses is when they work on the right things, and we can go through what are the right things to work on. But the financial pressure and the mismanagement of money, even working on like their pricing on services that are actually services that bring you more profit. The services that you just keep doing, but you don't even enjoy doing them anymore. And you want to be a skin clinic that does, 80% or more in skin, and you want to do more on extensions and blonde clients as a hairstylist, but you don't spend the time working on how you can improve that.
But that's probably a good example of, if you were to look at a 90-day plan,
Mm.
and a part of that 90-day plan was to review your prices, grow hair extensions, grow the skin side of the business, to do this, like already it's way too much. So if you were to have a 90-day plan and the only outcome was to take your skin clients from 60% to 80% of the business, that would be your sole focus just for 90 days. Just that's it, nothing else, just that.
Focus on one area at a time, and you need to dissect it as such, dissect it and dissect it and dissect it. So I was talking to a client earlier today, and her job was she was going to put her default diary together. And I said, okay, so you're just going to get that done today. And I said, why don't you start by thinking this could take 6 weeks? She said, 6 weeks. And I said, well, that one task is about pulling apart what do you already do. I suppose if you were to fix one problem in your business, there needs to be a self-assessment and awareness to
Mm,
start.
mm,
Like, what's wrong with it? Why doesn't it work? Why can't I stick to that diary? Or why do I struggle to do these actions day to day, week to week? What's in my way? Yeah.
absolutely. You said
Yeah.
something before. What was it? It was, sometimes a client will come to you and say, but I don't know how to do that. And I often find that people do know how to do things and they're actually resourceful enough to work it out. But
Mm.
they haven't sat still long enough. So they haven't got the bloody time. They haven't sat still long enough to go, well, here's my challenge. What are some options on how I can get around that? People have the skill to be able to problem solve. People have the knowledge in their brain. They don't have the time and the energy to execute. So I suppose falling
Mm.
off the bandwagon, having all of these things in your head and not on paper, it's a big part of the reason why people find themselves uh, in a place where they never wanted or expected they would be in business.
Yeah, that's right. And like you just said, it's that time management. What would you say to our listeners if it was thinking around time management? What would they need to do first to allow some time?
Well, you know what? I probably answer this question different every time someone asks me this question. So, um, I would say that the first thing that I would do is I would assess um, what I have been doing for the last couple of months. What am I working on? And where am I spending my time?
Mm.
Because a good indication of the future is the past. So there'd be things that I need to stop doing, start doing, things that I need to do less of, things that I need to do more of. I would then uh, put all of the tasks and all of the things that I do to work on my business into different categories. All these belong in marketing. All these belong in team. All these belong in reflection and prepping. And all these belong in systems processes. All this is financial and numbers. And then from that, I would look at what do I love doing? What do I hate doing? What am I
Yep.
good at? What am I shit at? And then I would look at, I'm on a roll actually.
You're
All
doing
right. Yeah, I'm
good.
doing good. All the answers are on the ceiling, aren't they? You look up when you're thinking, what are they? The other thing that I would do, which is just a golden oldie, is anything that I could delegate or outsource for under $30, $40 an hour, I would color red, or I'd put in uh, um, the outsource or delegate column. And then I'd make a plan to then remove all the red tasks that are in my diary and replace them with green tasks, which are things that I love doing and things that move the needle in the business that, for every hour that I spend on that task, I get a tangible return on investment. That's what I'd do.
Yeah, and it's a great way to look at it. And I think I love how you were talking about, the colors and, the different, I suppose, segments and areas of your business. It's that old style one, isn't it? The urgent, important, and what you're going to delegate. But then you've segregated, I suppose, more than anything. And that makes it a bit more streamlined for your operations because there is people in your business, without a doubt, and I had to learn this the hard way, is that can actually do certain jobs. So when I hear a task like, oh, I have to do the ordering, I think my little Jojo did that was 16. I didn't have anything to do with ordering when I knew, just let go, Marie. So
Mm,
we hold on to a lot of tasks that can be delegated to the people that we pay wages to within our business. They don't need to be outsourced to someone that's even an outsource of the business, but it can be an option. And we need to think about letting go. I think that's definitely a big thing when we're a salon owner.
absolutely. But I think as in like apart from, all right, well, what would I do with my time? That would be the strategy to free up my time and to optimize my time. But I think in terms of, well, what would I work on? Well, the first thing that I think you need to develop is a plan. That's what today's all about, really, is that you need to identify out of all of the different areas of business that you can focus on, pick one, maximum two if they're easy, and just go really, really deep into that one area. And then all of the tasks around that one area of business need to point towards optimizing that one area. And then everything else can wait because I find that people get FOMO. They feel like if I'm working on growing the skin side of my business from 60 to 80%, what about marketing? What about systems? What about this? What about that? Okay. But what about the fact that you're trying to do all of them and it's not working anyway? So I feel like when we really immerse ourselves in one area, then you get the result, and then you can move on to the next area, immerse yourself, move on to the next area, immerse yourself, instead of that scattergun approach of just trying to do everything. So,
Yeah.
and then just before I start, before I go, let's press the go button on this plan. No, before I press the go button, I would create the plan. And if that took me 3 months, that took me 3 months.
That's right. It's the small steps, isn't it? And being more specific around what needs to be done. And if you're not sure, you need to ask because I think sometimes we just go, I've just got to get that done and that, where it really just needs to, let's just do this because this is the problem when your business talks, or, that saying we always have is if I was to ask your manager or your team leader or your team what your business needs, what do you think they would say? So team would have a different idea because often they see you running around in circles or, running from one side to the other and they think, why is she doing that? Like, or why is he doing that? It can be done by someone else in the team. So there's definitely that really one focus point and making the time to do it. I think the other part of it is sometimes when we talk about default diary, a lot of people they don't know what that is. And I would say when I think back to someone introducing that to me, I'd say, what's that? Like, I don't understand what you mean. And thinking about once you work out what your tasks are and what your roles are and what you've delegated, there is going to be some substantial things that you need to do on repeat every week. So we think of things that straight up like wages. Well,
Wages, pay your bills, do your data entry,
yeah.
schedule your social media. Yeah.
Yeah, so if majority of that can be outsourced, but when do we spend the time doing those really good high value tasks, like working on the business to grow a certain area of the business? So if there's money missing or we don't have enough money and we don't break even in our business every week, what is it? And it's not necessarily um, putting a social media post up because we think that would work.
Well, you know what? I think it can if you've
It
got
can.
strategy behind those posts and it's a part of a bigger plan. But if you're posting for the hell of posting and you don't actually get business from it, then no, then don't work on it. I
No.
remember a few times I've had to say this. A salon owner will say, "Oh, I need to do my socials, and I've been slack on my socials, and I need to create content that day and socials." And to prove a point, I say, you know what? If I could take away one area of your business to free up so much time that you're completely wasting your energy on, it would actually be your social media. Because
Mm.
at the moment, you're bringing in clients. They're not coming from social media. It's word of mouth and Google. You're spending all this time on your social media. None of your new clients are coming from it, and you're not retaining any of them anyway. So if you deleted your social media for 6 months, your business wouldn't actually be in a worse position.
No,
I
that's
think we often have the wrong priorities, and it can be we prioritize social media because we like doing it. It's creative, it's fun, it's an outlet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's even like I was with a client today and we were talking about what was the value of her client. She said, I don't even know how you work that out. And I said, that's what you need to work on because you've got 10 new clients a week. You think you need more new clients, but we worked out the value of that. And it was into the thousands of dollars per week that she was not utilizing because of not having that as a focus point. So when we
I've
think
got
of,
it. Sorry.
yeah, no, you're right. You've got an idea you were going to say.
Oh, I've
Uh,
got an idea. Yes.
yeah.
Keep going, Marie. Keep
Yes.
going.
So if she was to just spend the time focusing on her new client acquisition, clients that were leaving the business and tracking that more intently and more personalized and really focus on that could bring in another $5,000 a week to her business. She said, Marie, I don't even know how you worked that out so quickly. And I said, because we do it every day. And what we see is the opportunity that knocks on your door, you're just letting go. And that's what you need to work when it comes to default diary is certain um, critical drivers that give you that KPI for result.
Yeah. Mm,
Mm,
absolutely.
Now, what's your good idea, Jay?
What's my good idea? So I used this as an example a few weeks ago, and I thought, oh, I must remember that. So, and I'm going to do some role play with you now,
Oh,
Marie.
good.
Oh, good. Um, if even conservatively,
Mhm,
if you had a hair salon or a skin clinic right now, or a beauty salon,
mhm,
and I gave you 6 or 7 weeks to prep a VIP night
mhm.
to bring your top spenders, your high value clients in for 2.5, 3 hour VIP night, what would you say you think you could generate in that evening if you've got some skin packages, some high end hair packages, retail, your rep comes along, do some demos? Like, what would be a ballpark range of from this to this? I would say
Hmm.
I'd be able to pull that off.
Yeah, I'd say 10 to 15,000.
Yep. And if I gave you 7 weeks to prep for that VIP night
Mhm.
and allowed time every single week for you to work on that VIP night, how much time per week would be enough for you to pull this thing off and organize it and sell it in and have it all sorted? How much
Yep.
time per week every week for 7 weeks would you need?
Yeah, I think probably to start with, I'd go probably a bit harder because I may need to do, like, I might send personalized messages. I might send something in the mail, depending on how
Yep.
much data I've collected. So I would probably say a couple of hours for the first couple of weeks, and then maybe an hour, and then I think it'd be just following up. So I wouldn't even say it would be an hour every week. It'd probably be two, three, maybe let's say 5 hours in 7 weeks.
5 hours in 7 weeks. So if we were to go, okay, $12,500, so in between 10 and 15,000. So $12,500 divided by 5 hours worth of work. For every hour that you've worked on that VIP night, you've generated $2,500.
Yeah. And even if you doubled that and said I spent, 10 hours, it's still great money per hour. And this is where we miss the point of having a business plan. It's not like the old days where you'd go to the bank with the business plan. We've got to refine it. And that's why we work with clients over 90 days to nail that plan. But the thing is, we have I suppose it's our a span of attention is to do it over a shorter
Mm,
period of time. They've got those little bite-sized pieces. If you had that as your end result, you would be
mm,
absolutely loving life, wouldn't you? To be able
absolutely.
to, yeah.
And it's funny because, I've always been the messy one, the disorganized one, the one that lacks detail, and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, when someone scoffs at me and says, "Oh my God, look at how many unread emails you have on your iPhone and how many unread this and blah, blah, blah," I think, yeah, I could filter my emails and organize them, or I could make fucking 5 grand an hour, chump. You might have ground zero on your emails, but here I am doing snow angels in $100 notes. So I don't really care if the back end is messy because I'm going to spend time that actually gets me a return on investment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and look, I think that was a really good example, that VIP night thing, because it if anything, it proves to the business owner that they have what it takes to generate money beyond their wildest dreams. They just need someone to hold them accountable.
Yeah, and when you do anything like that, when it comes to market to the clients you already have, they come to your business because they actually love that place. Like that's the place they go to. So for them to be a part of it, when you've nailed one and you do the next one, you'll only get better at it.
Mm,
And you'll learn where to cut costs. You'll work out how to make it more profitable. You'll work out what to do and what not to do. So really focusing on that as a business plan is what are the main things that you need to do in your diary. We review this ourselves and check over this every probably roughly 6 months, and we review what our KPIs are critical drivers that we're going to get these really good results. And if something's not working, we stop doing it.
mm,
So if we're not
absolutely.
getting that result, we need to think about, well, why do you still do it? So do you need to be on the floor 40 hours a week? When you're on the floor, maybe 25 hours a week, what are you doing in the downtime? Because you need to focus on the high value activities. And if you're unsure of what they are, then like let's have a conversation. But it takes time for someone to realize, I think all of us in life, to go, why do I do that? I don't need to do that anymore. I
Absolutely.
could
It's
do
just out of
this.
habit, isn't it? Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
What would you say your number one thing would be when uh as we wrap up, like the topic of the podcast, the episode name is "Why am I not where I expected to be in
Mm.
business?" So, like, what would you say is your like parting words of wisdom to anyone listening of focus on this first or implement that first?
Yeah, I would say it's the diary. I would say it's what I put in my diary. Um, I loved your dissecting it into sort of areas. But team, I only said this to a client today. If you put your energy and have amazing team meetings and really have the team fill in their figures, review figures in their one-on-one meeting and focus on it, your business will grow because the gap of where they should be when you push your energy, and I say that from experience, is push your energy into your team, the team will grow and the business revenue grows and you'll feel like you're in a better place and you can step away more and more from your business because it's just running like a well-oiled machine.
Mm. Yeah. I think mine would be simple, and I think you were going down this before, which was like when you go to like a personal trainer or a dietitian, they make you keep a food diary.
Mm.
It's really confronting often because you're on autopilot. You don't realize how much you snack or
Yeah.
how many calories you're taking in or whatever it may be. We need to do the same type of thing with our time, document where you're spending your time.
Yeah.
And I think most people don't believe it that when you go into the settings in your phone and you have a look at how much time you've spent in certain apps, like TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or Messenger or Voxer or whatever it is, like we all say we don't have enough time. So to be able to audit, do a food diary of where
Yeah.
you're spending your time, I think that's a brilliant place to start as well.
So you mean like a self-awareness and assessment of where,
100%. Yep,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely. So document what am I doing every hour of the day. I remember one of our first coaches, Bruce, made us do that.
He did. I remember
Yeah,
that as well.
yeah, he was
Maybe Bruce might
savage.
be listening. Let's tag him in it because
Yeah, good
it
idea.
it's the learnings you have, it's the little pieces. Actually, there's one other thing I think the listeners should hear is that saying I said yesterday, and it is if your business could talk, what would it say? Because it does make you stop and think.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Because you'll feel compelled to want to answer that in a certain way, but
It
then
would.
the reality goes, oh, what would it say? And
Yeah.
it's got the same energy of that question that I pull out of my back pocket every now and then. If I was to follow you around and watch you and how you work on your business, what would I think? I go, oh, no, I wouldn't want that. Most
Yeah,
people are inefficient, aren't they?
for
Yeah.
sure.
Anyway. All right, Marie. Thanks
Thank,
for coming.
thank you.
What do they have to do? Like, subscribe, comment, like, share, refer, all of the things.
All of it. But more and more listeners. We hear lots of people every week say that they love listening to our podcast, and it's so nice to hear that. So
Yeah.
thank you.
It's like the ultimate business card, isn't it?